and you're watching the Good Wives Network, and I am on both platforms right now, or lots of platforms right now. I'm on Rumble, Twitch, YouTube, and I'm also over here on TikTok. And I have just decided that I wanted to talk today. I haven't been online a whole lot lately, and that's because we have been working on massive amounts of content based on all of the things that have been coming out. I have been working through her book chapter by chapter. I have been working through this FOIA, and today I want to talk some about this FOIA. And here's what my take is on all of this. I want you to, for a second, set aside all the things that you know about this case. Set aside everything you think about every single person. And I want you to listen to what happened to Nicholas and what happened and how his civil rights were violated, and he should have gotten a new trial, and he never will, because it is corruption. It is corruption at its highest, allegedly, in my opinion, for entertainment and educational purposes only. But after reading this, I am more solidified in the fact that that boy never had a chance in his life with them, and they all signed a back office deal. I don't know, because none of it makes sense. But what happened in this case is a travesty. And if you aren't calling that out, then you don't give a shit about justice, because this is serious. We're talking about jury tampering. We're talking about having jury bias. We're talking about not freaking protecting their client. It is so many, 417 pages of just every fucking page being, holy shit, could you guys have effed this up any effing more? I am livid with what I am reading here, and you should be too. And I want you to think about this. This has nothing to do with whether or not you believe Nicholas is guilty or not. It does not have anything to do with any of this. The murder of Dee Dee Blanchard by Nicholas Godejohn and her daughter Gypsy Rose Blanchard. That's what we're talking about. Please, guys, over here, let's not call it the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case. Let's call it the Dee Dee Blanchard case. That's what I wanted to do earlier this year, but that kind of got lost in the woodwork. Or last year. So, okay, let's start with this. I'm going to pull it up. I have been, like I said, going page by page, highlighting and making notes. I have been writing and creating content about this, and I am absolutely freaking livid with what has happened here. So let me go ahead and pull it up again. I thought I had it open, but apparently I did not. So if you have not seen this 417 page document, it will be out on our Patreon. And yes, I will put it on my free level so that everybody has access to it, because everybody needs to actually read this. Every single person needs to read this, because it's scary. It's freaking scary. And it is just, honestly, I can tell you, it is, in my opinion, the biggest miscarriage of justice I've ever seen. Hey, Alicia. So we're going to walk through it. All right. So the first few pages are just all the motions that were filed. And for anybody who wants to sit around and say that this is not evidence, you are completely canoodled in the head. I don't even understand your thought process for saying that. Rogi, your wife works for a lawyer. You should know, of all people, that this is actually real evidence. And just because the judge denied it does not mean that the evidence isn't worthy of being shown to the public or to the court systems. You are completely ignorant in saying that this is not an actual legal document and it isn't actual evidence. It is exactly that, filed with the court with the evidence actually attached to it, which is what we're waiting for. The evidence that's attached to this has not been released yet, but it will. It will. They're working on it. So this is just the beginning of understanding what really happened. And if you take the Gypsy equation out of all of this, okay, just take her straight out. Just look at Nicholas and what actually took place before and after his trial. And knowing this now, I am absolutely disgusted that I could have even been a part of any of this by by further championing the gypsy story. That's how I participated. I furthered the gypsy story. You all want to talk about me sending Dawn in and all these different things and everything that you think I've done, which I didn't, but whatever. But here's the real crux of it. This is what was really done to him by the people that were supposed to give him a fair trial. Let's go. So I've got the felony complaint. I got to get down here for a little bit, guys. So let me scroll. We've got all the normal stuff. A lot of this is stuff that they had in both cases. So like the counts, the charges, the witnesses. And I'm going to tell you what, if I was a freaking witness in this case, I would be absolutely flippin' livid. Their entire freaking address is on here for every single one of the people that was called. Every single one of them. And they didn't fucking bother to at all retract any of it. I cannot, the way this case has been handled in so many ways is just unbelievable to me. It gets to a point of just like, when does the absurdity stop? Can you imagine? Okay, here's where Nicholas asked for a bench trial. Can you imagine what would have happened if he had actually gone through with just a bench trial? That judge had no objectivity from the moment that they started the trial. Everything about this is wrong. Everything. And I say everything, I mean everything. Everything is wrong with this. Everything. So hold on, I'm still scrolling. I got to get past all these formality things to get down to the real crux of everything. Because the first part of it's just a lot of motions and him requesting to have a post-conviction relief attorney, that he didn't have this, he didn't have that. He's just explaining certain things. But I want to get down into here where all this stuff starts happening. Come on, let's go down here. Let me grab it and scroll faster. Let's see if I can get down here faster. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to tell you what. There are a multitude of statutes and laws and things that they list here. And each one of them in itself is more than enough to prove that Nicholas did not get a fair trial and that he should have had a new trial granted to him, and just didn't give a flying fuck. I'm so upset with this whole thing. These people should not have law licenses. My main mod, I don't need a mod. I'm good. I've got mods, but I don't need a mod. What's up? What's Erica? Hi, Elaine. Hey guys, everybody welcome in. Who your main mod was? I don't have a main mod. I don't know why you're asking that. That's a weird question, but okay. All right. So any one of these motions and statutes that they're listing here should have been enough to prove ineffective assistance of counsel. Well, I don't know why you're asking for a mod, but if you want to DM me, my DMs are open, or Max DMs are open. I don't know what you're wanting, but hang on, I'm trying to scroll up. I've scrolled down too fast now. So let me go back up here because I want to start at the top of this. This is, okay, so here we go. So the first one that they bring forward, the first motion, is ineffective assistance of counsel, failure to investigate and present evidence from a qualified neuropsychologist specializing in autism spectrum disorder, Asperger's, in guilt phase to support a diminished capacity defense. Now, if you all remember, I read to you guys the entire offer of proof last year, and years before this, I've read it too. Okay. And what that offer of proof is, for anybody that doesn't understand what's going on there, is this is the state basically telling the defense team, hey, we don't think that your expert is qualified to actually diagnose or testify for him. And we think that you need a different specialist, because they have to have, in a diminished capacity case in Missouri, they have to actually call a neurophysiologist that specializes in autism spectrum disorder. And Dr. Franks did not. Now, the entire offer of proof is the state and the judge telling them, hey, you need to go find a different expert. This isn't going to fly. He's not good enough. And what does the defense team do? They say, I don't give a fuck, and they continue on. And what is their reasoning for it in the actual hearing that happened in June or in 2022? Do you want to know what their answer was? I don't know. I don't know why I didn't think to. You didn't think to. What do you mean you didn't think to? The freaking court told you. I don't even understand how that is a excuse. What? You didn't think that you needed the proper expert for your trial. Are you a special kind of stupid? Or are you just that corrupt? Thank you, Alicia, baby. So this is saying, in all of this, it actually states that his 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th amendments to the United States Constitution have all been violated. His rights have all been violated. Is a legal procedure used during a trial to preserve evidence for the record when a judge has ruled that the evidence is inadmissible. Thank you, you're a fave bitch. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it was. But that was them before even going to trial. Tell them they need a better expert. And them going, nah, we're going to go with him. He's fine. We've already hired him. He already said he's competent. So, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No, it's not fine. And I'm going to tell you one of the things that I believe should be changed to enact real change in the justice system is that these evaluations and these psychological evaluations of people that commit crimes need to be much more comprehensive. You cannot, in a 10-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour session, find out everything you need to know about that person. You should be spending time with them. You should have to spend hours interviewing them and talking with them before you can render oh yeah, they're competent to stand trial. Oh yeah, they're perfectly fine. Because what you did was fuck it over. You literally screwed up every absolute chance at him having a fair trial. The attorneys did. The attorneys, his own defense attorneys. So that's the first part, okay? So basically, they find another expert. His name is Dr. Wasserman, and he specializes in all of this. And he would have testified to diminished capacity, his right to deliberate, all of that. Meanwhile, this yo-yo can only say that, oh, well, he can only deliberate within the confines of autism. What in the fuck does that mean? If I was a jury, if I was sitting on a jury and someone made that statement, I'd have absolutely no idea what to fucking do with it. No idea. Because if you don't know what the confines of autism are, then how would you possibly know how he functions in it? My mind is blown by the absolute absurdity and stupidity of this whole thing. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. I like that one. And the fact of the matter is, again, I'm going to say, you don't have to believe that Nicholas is innocent or that he should be out around the world. Thank you guys so much. To not see that this was a miscarriage of justice, to not see that this should never happen to anyone ever in any court of law at any time. Oh my gosh, thank you. I like that one too. Oh, are these the spring ones? Because they're super cute. Super cute. And here's the problem. There is no fair trial for Nicholas at this point. There's none. There's nowhere that they could move this case, that they would hear the case and the jury not be biased. Okay? Thank you. There's nowhere. I tried to talk about this with my husband last night, and he made that point, and he's like, no, honey, they really can't go anywhere with this. So what's the best outcome? And I said, you're right. It would, I guess the best outcome for me would be the judge giving him the resentencing of second-degree murder with the possibility of parole. Because if you're going to allow her to walk around out here in the public when being the most dangerous that she is, then he deserves a right to improve himself over the years and prove that he's not a threat to society and be allowed to assimilate back into it when he is. And he should be completely and 100% supervised at all times. He needs that. Did you see that the defense attorney went to Gypsy's baby shower? Oh, I know, Alexis. I know. And so did Aaron Lee Carr. And so did Melissa Moore. They're all just besties in their, in their like cult-like behavior to freaking silence the truth. They're just besties. So, hey, Tragedy Ann. It's good to see you again, baby. So, okay, so that's the first thing, is this offer of proof that would happen before the trial happened, telling them that this was not a good enough freaking expert witness, and they go into great detail. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's 417 pages, so I'm going to try to go through. Pieces of it, and then we'll put this out, and I have tons of content already coming from this. This was just something I wanted to do today. I was on some other lives, and of course I got bullied and harassed off of them, so I decided the hell with it. I'm coming over here. And for those of you that think that I'm hiding, no, I'm not. I'm just not going to allow you to use my content anymore. See, if I record content, you can't use it. Not scared, Brandy. Just smarter than you. No, I'm not co-hosting with anybody. Okay, so this is a pretty long section, so let me keep scrolling here. My scroll is not working real well. I don't know what's going on. Might be because I'm online and I'm asking it to do 100 things at one time. Okay, so then the second motion, which is 8B, is also, it's all going to be ineffective assistance of counsel, okay? And this is a post-conviction relief, and I believe, if I'm right, I think all post-conviction relief is always this. Let me see. Let me see what it says. Okay, so it is a legal process convicted that allowing individuals convicted of crimes to challenge their convictions or sentences after the trial has concluded. It differs from appeals, which focus on errors during the trial and offers a chance to address new evidence or legal issues. And a lot of the time it is ineffective assistance of counsel that they're going for. And this lawyer, let me tell you, this woman killed it. If she couldn't get an appeal through, it was never going to happen. Because, like I said, you can cherry pick any one of these things, any one of them. Scroll through the 417 pages, find a motion, and tell me that you don't believe that that's completely a miscarriage of justice, what she's explaining. Let me keep going on. All right, so here we are. Okay, so in this one, it says failure to investigate and present evidence from lay witnesses in guilt phase to support a diminished capacity defense. So again, they're saying that the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendment rights were violated. And the reason being on this is, again, about the autism. So when you're filing motions like this, you have to file them in different pieces for different things. So a lot of this actual document repeats itself in many ways, but they're laying it out specifically of all the ways that he was fucked over. And let me make it clear. He was fucked over completely. All right. So let's talk about this one. So again, this is, so that was all about, again, that they didn't call his family. They didn't talk to anybody about his previous schooling, except that they had all of his IEPs. They had everything within 78 hours. So why any of this happened, I just don't know. Yeah, it should, Tragedy. And she did perjure herself in court. Hi, Diane. Hi, Kane. So this is new evidence, though. That's the problem. This is new evidence, Kane. It is absolutely new evidence. That's the thing. And you're going to hear that in a little bit. So this one is that they failure to investigate and present a mitigation for use in plea negotiations. So in this one, again, all those rights. Prejudiced as a result, in that had counsel not been ineffective, there is a reasonable possibility that the outcome of his case would have been different, and that Mr. Godejohn would not have been convicted of first-degree murder and armed criminal action, and would not have been sentenced to life without probation and parole and 25 years current. Counsel's failures and omissions, including but not limited to those listed below, resulted in Mr. Godejohn being denied a fair trial, due process, and freedom from cruel and unusual punishment. His Sixth Amendment rights to counsel, a right that extends to the plea bargaining process. During plea negotiations, defendants are entitled to effective assistance. Okay, I know what this part's about. All right, so this part addresses the actual plea deals, change of venue, and what they did or did not do to represent their client during the plea negotiations. So now, if you remember, there is a conversation that Nicholas had in court with one of his attorneys, where the attorney told him that they were not interested at this time, that the prosecution was not interested at this time in giving him a plea deal. And he wanted to know why. Because he was willing to do that. Then they did present him with the original plea deal. They didn't give him good counsel. They didn't tell him this was a good idea. They didn't tell him he should do all of this. They just let him make his decision, in my opinion, allegedly for entertainment and educational purposes only. And he had the wherewithal to say, hey, no, I don't like this deal, but I would like you to go back with this. And he gave him very, very specific things. He told him that he would do 15 years on the murder and 15 years on the armed assault. So he was willing to do that, to run concurrently. So he would have done 15 years. That was his goal. He wanted to do 15 years. He felt like that was appropriate, whether it is or isn't, whatever. I don't understand it. I literally do not get this. I just, nothing about this court case is right. And this is why this was sealed. This is why no one saw the appeal. We'd all been wondering why we didn't have it. This is why. This has been sealed since 2022 because it is a travesty. It is an absolute miscarriage of justice. And every single one of these people should be put on trial for it. 100%. So this is talking about the fact that they didn't assist him enough. So here it says, this is exactly what, see, I told you there's a part here. So on September 13th of 2016, reads in part as follows. A letter in the trial file from Mr. Godejohn to trial counsel, Mr. Perry, dated September 13, 2016. Today, when we were in court, you told me that the prosecutor was not interested at this time in any plea agreement. What I would like to know is exactly how that conversation went, as close as you can recall, just so I understand in my mind where he is coming from. If there is a possibility that in the future this may be something he would consider, I would like to know if this means it is still an option or a possibility. Yes, you can. Yes, you can counter offer. Yes, absolutely. That's why it's a negotiation. It's not, hey, here's your plea deal. Take it or leave it. It's not like that. It's a negotiation for a reason. They were supposed to, and they were legally bound to take Nick's offer and suggestion to prosecutor. They did not. They had to legally get an answer from the prosecutor on what they brought to him. They did not. They did not. And railroaded him right into a life sentence. So, it says, the trial file reflects that counsel engaged in plea negotiations with the prosecutor on at least 2 occasions. So this is even different than what we've heard was offered in the past. So I really want you guys to hear this because it really matters as to why Nicholas turned these deals down. And I understand it now, because in the past I was like, oh my God, he should have just taken them. Yeah, I don't think that autism wasn't the defense. It's not the defense. It's diminished capacity, and he's getting worse. That's the problem. Okay, so the trial reflects that counsel engaged in a plea negotiation with the prosecutor on at least 2 occasions. A memo in the trial file reflects that trial counsel conveyed to Mr. Godejohn on December 2nd, 2016, the state's first official offer was of life with parole on a plea to murder in the 2nd degree with a dismissal of the armed criminal action charges. Now, he would have had to serve about 85% of that sentence. It would have determined what 85% of a lifetime sentence would be. and then he could be up for parole. So you're welcome. You're welcome, OG. Okay, so the memo states that Mr. Godejohn rejected that offer, but did want counsel to make a counter offer of 15 years on a reduced charge of murder in the second degree and 15 years on the armed criminal action charge to run concurrent. The state made a second plea offer to Mr. Godejohn by letter on March 2nd of 2018. So first time they did it was in December of 2016. And they're telling him later that they're not even in negotiations, they're not interested. But in 2018, right before going to trial, they try again. And this offer was for life, probation denied, with parole on a charge of murder in the second degree with 10 years consecutive on the armed criminal action charge. According to a notation in the trial file, this offer was rejected by Mr. Godejohn on May 2nd, 2018. Those are very fair deals, to be honest with you. They are very fair deals. We heard other deals. This is not what I heard. If I had heard these deals, I can understand why he didn't want to take it, but his attorney should have told him, absolutely, you need to take this one. You know, it just... So it goes on to say, it is clear that Mr. Godejohn was open to taking a plea in the case. It was incumbent then on counsel to engage in meaningful plea negotiations with the state in order to get the best plea offer possible. An important aspect of plea negotiations is presenting mitigating evidence about the crime and about the defendant to the state to support an argument for a plea to a lesser charge with a lower sentence. Counsel failed to adequately investigate and present any mitigation evidence to the prosecutor in this case as part of a plea negotiation. Counsel was aware, or should have been aware prior to trial, that Nicholas was diagnosed with autism. So it goes in again to the fact that he didn't understand these complex situations and that they were duty bound to do this, and that they should have been calling his family experts. They should have called the expert that evaluated him in Wisconsin in the jail. They didn't call her. They didn't call anyone. They called no witnesses for him whatsoever. Nothing. Dr. fucking Franks. Whoop-de tap tap and do. That guy was so freaking out of his element. I'm not saying the guy isn't a good doctor, good therapist, psychiatrist, whatever the fuck he is. I'm not saying he isn't. But in this case, he was not qualified as an expert in this case by any means necessary at all. He could not accurately and with simplicity explain what this all meant, what diminished capacity really meant. And I truly believe that was the absolute right fucking defense. And I also believe that if they had done their job, we might have had a third person. And Nicholas might not have been doing life. But I digress. So it goes on to talk about all the visits. Hold on, let me see what it's talking about the visits, because that's so interesting. Was where should it be within their structure, brain differences? Yeah. What is it saying? Gypsy Breath engaged in an increasing intense online relationship, which included sexually explicit online chats and videos made by Gypsy and sent to Nicholas. Those listed in the record include Charles Goldemer, Stephanie Goldemer, Quinn. They had 5 visits, 6 visits, 1 visit. So it's all that. These records would have given a counsel the names of family members to interview as part of a mitigation investigation. So basically they knew all these people were involved in his life and they just didn't bother to contact any of them. That's what the rest of this says. Like there's a bunch of them telling that they were never contacted or never asked anything about Nicholas. And these are the people in his family. Okay, so failure to investigate and so the next one is failure to investigate and present evidence from a qualified neurophysiologist specializing in autism spectrum disorder, Asperger's, at a suppression hearing. So a suppression hearing would be for them to suppress either his confession or some amount of evidence. And this guy was not qualified to tell them that they should suppress his confession based on certain parameters, because he's just not qualified to make those decisions. He's not qualified to speak about that. And so they literally limited him so much in his defense. I don't understand, but it gets worse. Don't worry. Let's keep going. So that's all about the neuropsychologist again. I'm not going to read all that because it's just way too much jargon. Go read it. It's a lot. There's a lot of reasons why they should add a different expert. Okay, so the next one, this one's fun. I like this one. This one is the failure to request a change of venue due to prejudicial pretrial publicity. Nicholas Godejohn was denied effective assistance of counsel, a fair trial, due process, and was subjected to cruel and unusual punishment in violation of his rights under the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution and of the Missouri Constitution, that his trial counsel unreasonably and prejudicially failed to request a change of venue from Greene County for cause pursuant to Rule 32.04 pre-trial and or at trial when voir dire revealed that prejudicial pretrial publicity prevented a fair trial by that panel of impartial, indifferent jurors. The right to a jury trial guarantees a fair trial by a panel of impartial, indifferent judges. In assessing the impact of potentially prejudicial publicity on prospective jurors, the critical question is not whether the jurors remember the case, but whether they have such fixed opinions regarding the case that they could not impartially determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant. They knew he had something wrong with him in the interrogation. Yes, they did. And they violated his rights right then. From the second that Mahali walked in, Nicholas's rights have been violated. Yes. Okay. So this is the biggest part that I'm very upset about. The jury. Okay. I'm really angry about this SD card, but the jury is the most upsetting to me because this is exactly what his defense attorneys are supposed to be defending against. This is what they're supposed to do. This is their entire effing job. And instead, this is what happened. So, it's saying that, they found out that everybody was fair and that he couldn't get a fair and impartial jury, right? Okay, so I want to go down here. There's a bunch of laws and statutes of what they have to do and how they have to establish that. Okay, here we go. So in this case, the volume of extremely prejudiced pretrial publicity was so great that the presumption of prejudice among potential jurors required a change of venue from Greene County. Nicholas Godejohn was charged with first-degree murder and an added criminal action for events occurring in Springfield, Greene County, Missouri in June of 2015. The pretrial publicity surrounding Mr. Godejohn's case was extremely intense. Pretrial public scrutiny and fascination was very high due to unusual underlying facts. Hey, Nellie, of the case, including an aspect of Munchausen by proxy syndrome perpetrated by the victim in the case. Mr. Godejohn's co-defendant, Gypsy Blanchard, pled guilty to second-degree murder on July 5th of 2016. Her court proceedings were broadcast on television and made available on demand online. Co-defendant gave television interviews to Dr. Phil in 2020 that aired over a 3-day period prior to Nicholas's trial. Multiple videos regarding the case were available on YouTube through ABC News, Law and Crime Network, Dr. Phil, and others. In addition, HBO aired an hour-and-a-half special on May 16th, 2017, titled Mommy, Dead, and Dearest, which contained extremely prejudicial content, including information on Nicholas's prior arrest record, actual footage of court proceedings, and discovery from the underlying case, including Nicholas's interview with law enforcement. That's interesting to me because I want you guys to know something. When I released Gypsy's interrogation video, I was the first person to release it in its entirety. Okay? Christy told Katie Joy that they didn't have a problem that Nicholas's interrogation video was out there, but they had a major problem with Gypsy's being out there. But now I'm learning that the whole reason that Nicholas's was out there at all is because you all gave it to him. You did it on purpose. You literally gave it to them on purpose. Hi, Nadatha. Love you, sweetheart. Keep up the good work because you're the true advocate here. This is just. Let me continue on. On November 6, 2018, just 2 days before jury selection began, Investigation Discovery aired an hour-and-a-half special titled Gypsy's Revenge, which also referenced extremely prejudicial information about Nicholas, including all allegations that Nicholas had a criminal past. The show aired a segment from a KY3 broadcast, which revealed that Nicholas was arrested in 2013 after investigators say he was watching you know what and doing you know what to himself in a McDonald's restaurant for 9 hours. It went on to allege that police found a large stabber on his person during that I-1 test. So, in addition to prudential and admissible information about prior A1 tests, the show contained a mind-boggling A1 tay of prejudicial content, including extrajudicial statements by co-defendant Gypsy Blanchard about the event, including her recollection of how horrific it was to listen to a schmurder, and about statements allegedly made by Nicholas to her. 2, actual discovery from the underlying case, including photos taken by Greene County Sheriff's Office, surveillance videos from a hotel, and bus station photographs not admitted at trial, and law enforcement video of interviews not admitted at trial. 3, prejudicial victim impact information, including video footage of Dee Dee Blanchard as a child, as a teenager, and as a young mother, and interviews with her siblings. 4, a reenactment of the scene of the crime, including a simulation of the victim's screams. That's funny. Didn't you guys say that me and Ryan doing that was absolutely deplorable? That's really funny, considering that, a news station did it. But hey, I'm not keeping count or anything. 4, so that was reenactment. 5, actual video footage of co-defendant Gypsy Blanchard's plea and details of her sentencing. 6, commentary from co-defendant's counsel. 7, commentary from the prosecuting attorney that Gypsy's sentence was appropriate based on mitigation around the 2 decades of abuse she suffered at the victim's hands. 8, prejudicial commentary by neighbors and journalists that Nicholas was an internet predator and mastermind. Nicholas's booking photo. 10, actual footages of Nicholas handcuffed in court and waiving extradition at a hearing in Wisconsin. 11, Gypsy's description of what she calls Nicholas's multiple personality disorder. 12, a video recording of Nicholas speaking to a reporter from the Greene County Jail about the offense. And 13, portions of Nicholas's interview with law enforcement about the offense. The question of whether a fair and impartial jury could be seated in Greene County due to the level of publicity received in the case was discussed at several different points in the pretrial procedure. As early as January 11, 2016, less than 1 year from the date of offense, Judge Holda expressed concern about the ability to seat a jury in Greene County. The judge is telling you, hey, I don't think we can get a freaking fair trial here. Maybe you should file a change of venue. And they went, nah, why would we do that? Oh, I know why. They didn't think of it. Or, I don't know. That's their answers. Go read them. Okay. I think it's fairly obvious to assume that a change of venue for cause is an issue we will have to address. The parties discussed the release of the May 16, 2017 HBO special, and the state pointed out that a lot of discovery in the case was presented in that show. Yeah, this is exactly what they say. This is what they tell them. They tell them, oh, you've already heard a bunch of information. You're going to hear it all again here, but you're going to get even more. Like, they thought that this was a good strategy. Really? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? They never filed a change of venue. Listen to this. On November 8th, 2018, approximately 80 veneer persons were called for potential service. The trial court asked the panel if they had heard from any source or read from any source or have seen on television or the internet anything about this murder, this trial, or about Mr. Godejohn prior to this morning. So many potential jurors raised their hands, the trial court had to reverse the question and asked how many had not heard anything about the case. Only 13 veneer persons responded, meaning 67 out of 80, or approximately 84% of veneer persons had heard about the case. The trial court then inquired of the 67 who had heard about the case how many had formed an opinion as to Mr. Godejohn's guilt or innocence, to which 19, or roughly a third, responded affirmatively. Despite these astonishing numbers, trial counsel failed to move to quash the entire panel and request a change of venue for cause. Yes, KY3 is the one who did the breakdown of this, and they were only allowed to give the highlights. They weren't allowed to release any information about what they captured. There was a pool camera, and they ordered them not to be able to release it till now. This is how much of a railroad this is. I don't even understand how this all happened, and how the Supreme Court is not all over the fucking shit. Why is the ACLU not up in arms? Where is the ADA? Like, what is going on here? I cannot, for the life of me, understand this. And this is why I can't lay this case down. Because this is absurd. I've never seen anything like this. It says the trial court is afforded wide discretion in ruling on a motion to quash the entire jury panel. However, that discretion is not unfettered. In making its determination, the court must consider the defendant's right to a trial before a fair and impartial jury. So, thus, if the jury panel had been prejudiced against a criminal defendant such that a fair and impartial jury cannot be impaneled, the court must quash the entire panel and begin anew. So they would have had to go and get other veneers, people in the jury pool. So, counsel had a duty to object to the taint of the veneer panel and request a change of venue for cause. Counsel's failure to do so fell below the standard of care that a reasonably competent attorney would exercise under similar circumstances, and violated Nicholas Godejohn's right to a fair and impartial jury, to ineffective assistance of counsel, and resulted in prejudice to movement, and new trial should be offered. Now, he asked for a change of venue. They never filed it with the court. Just so you know. Yes, exactly, Mandy. MJ Pack was saying all of that, and she was on the right path until Christy dug her hooks in and never let go. And Christy has backstabbed that woman more than more than anyone else I've ever known. And that girl just stands there still continuing to take it from them. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So, okay. So this is number 8F. So ineffective assistance of counsel, failure to adequately, individually voir dire veneer persons regarding bias due to prejudicial pretrial publicity. So again, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendment rights. Here we go as to what it is. Okay. So in that his trial counsel unreasonably and prejudicially failed to adequately individually voir dire veneer persons regarding prejudicial pretrial publicity. All 12 jurors who sat on the jury panel, which found Mr. Godejohn guilty of first-degree murder and armed criminal action, were exposed to pretrial publicity about the case. The jurors 13, 20, and 39, this is where it gets muddy, expressed that they had already made up their minds about guilt or innocence based on pre-trial publicity. Trial counsel failed to inquire of all jurors the extent of exposure of pre-trial publicity and explore the bias of the jurors who expressed they had already formed an opinion of guilt or innocence. Counsel's failure violated Mr. Godejohn's right to a fair and impartial jury, amounted to ineffective assistance of counsel, and resulted in prejudice to Mr. Godejohn in that, but for counsel's ineffective assistance, Mr. Godejohn would not have been convicted of first-degree murder and armed criminal action and sentenced to life without probation and parole for 25 years. The right to a jury trial guarantees a fair trial by a panel of impartial, indifferent jurors. To that end, a veneer member should be asked if he or she holds any prejudice or biases that would prevent or substantially impair the performance of his duties as a juror in accordance with his instructions and his oath. The inquiry is meant to reveal whether a juror can set aside any prejudices and impartially fulfill his or her obligations as a juror. A prospective juror who does not enter the jury box with an open mind, free from bias or prejudice in favor of or against either party is not a competent juror. So, going on, they talk about this, but they're going to say exactly what these people all said. So, let me keep going to down here to where what actually happened in this case, because it gives a lot of case law. So, okay. Let me see. Hold on. I have to find where they talk about what they actually did. Because they repeat themselves so much in these. It's hard. Because now they're going back over all the things that they did with the pretrial publicity because they have to cover it again. Thank you, guys. Okay, so despite the immense amount of pretrial publicity, counsel failed to request a change of venue for cause, and jury selection began on November 8th, 2018 in Greene County. Okay, so it's going on to say all that again. Only 13 venue persons responded. Yep. Yeah. Where does it go down to where they did? Okay, so to which of those 19 who had formed an opinion, only one juror said they would be unable or unwilling to decide the case based solely on the evidence. Okay, let me go back up here. So here we go. This is what I wanted to see. All right. The trial court then inquired of the 67 who had heard about the case, how many had formed an opinion as to Mr. Godejohn's guilt or innocence, to which 19, or roughly a third, responded affirmingly. Immediately after polling the venue persons who had formed an opinion as to guilt or innocence, the trial court improperly and misleadingly informed those venue persons, quote, "I can assure you by the time this trial is over that you will know more about this case than anything that you have read, seen, or heard." The trial court then informed the venue persons that they would be instructed that in reaching any verdict on this case, they can only decide the case based upon evidence presented in the courtroom and the instructions given. Hey guys, hey. The trial court then asked, is there anyone who would be unwilling or unable to decide the case based solely upon the evidence received in this in any form or manner on the information that you may have read, seen, or heard, and not discuss this information with any of your fellow jurors? Is there anyone unable or unwilling to do so? To which of those 19 who had formed an opinion, only one juror said that they would be unable or unwilling to decide the case based solely on the entire evidence received. This state then called for a sidebar off the record, and the trial court announced an individual voir dire of the 19 opinion of guilt or innocence. Trial counsel made no real inquiry into the bias by exploring what pre-trial publicity they were exposed to, or on what basis they formed an opinion of guilt or innocence. This line of inquiry would have been permitted during individual voir dire. Instead of attempting to establish challenges for cause, counsel often affirmed the blanket notation that the venue person would listen only to the evidence heard at trial, or asked if their bias was more of a curiosity which piqued their interest in the case. Only of the 19 venue persons who formed an opinion as to Mr. Godejohn's guilt or innocence, 3 served on the jury, which deliberated and found Mr. Godejohn guilty of first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Jurors 13, 20, and 39. So, next section, guess what it is? Jurors 13, 30, 20, and 39. Juror 13 indicated to the state that he believed that he could set aside the things that he heard. Juror 13 explained that the media blows things out of proportion and sometimes lies, doesn't give the truth or gives their perspective of what the truth is, and that hearing the evidence in the courtroom would be more realistic than hearing the evidence from the news media or the papers. Juror 13 went on to say that based on evidence that I've heard over the media and other sources, it was a fairly reasonable to me that it could have happened the way that I heard that it happened. Trial counsel failed to parse out with Juror 13 that whatever he or she heard in the media was not, in fact, evidence. Juror 13 answered affirmatively when asked by trial counsel, our judge had mentioned that you're going to hear a lot of evidence in this case that hasn't been in the media. Has that piqued your curiosity a little more? It's like he's inviting them to a fucking theater show. Has this piqued drawn interest? Craig. There's a guy, Jack Palance. I think it's him. I don't know. But he does this thing. He's an actor. And he's always asking, if I did this and this and this, would that interest you? That's what this feels like to me. Like, would that interest you? Would you like to hear more? Are you curious about this case? That's not why you have a jury member seated, because they're curious. What? Moving on. During individual voir dire, juror number 20 stated he was a news hound and had seen much coverage on it. He went on to state, and quote, and I think when you do that, for me, it's impossible not to form some opinions. But as one of you said, there will be new information and things that go to the media. So juror number 20 said yes, when asked by the state if she understood that if chosen to serve, they would have to disregard entirely what they heard in the media and focus only on the evidence here. Trial counsel asked juror 20 only 3 questions. How strong is your opinion? If Mr. Godejohn is found guilty, have you formed an opinion as to what the sentence should be? And does the court statements that there is going to be evidence in the case that hasn't been revealed in the news pique his or her curiosity and cause them to want to serve on the jury? During individual voir dire, Juror 39 stated that they think and believe they could set aside what they heard in the media and that they don't think they would have trouble doing that because they didn't know a lot, only what they saw on the local news. Trial counsel also asked only 2 questions of number 39. And again, how strong is the opinion they formed of guilt or innocence, to which juror 39 replied, about 40% or less. And 2, if ultimately found guilty, have they formed an opinion as to what the sentence would be? The volume of prejudicial pretrial publicity in this case was overwhelming. Trial counsel's limited inquiry of jurors 13, 20, and 39, who had all expressed they formed an opinion as to guilt or innocence, hey, Kane, failed to reveal what pretrial publicity that they were exposed to or on what basis they formed an opinion of guilt or innocence. And in doing so, counsel failed in their duty to ensure that the veneer panel consisted of qualified jurors free from bias against Mr. Godejohn. And if that's not bad enough, guys, guess what? It keeps going. So jurors 1, 6, 7, 12, 21, 24, 26, 36, and 37. Despite the extreme pretrial publicity in this, and despite the fact that 67 out of 80, or approximately 80% of the possible veneer persons had heard about the case, trial counsel failed to inquire of these jurors about the nature and extent of a pretrial publicity exposure. All 12 jurors who served at Mr. Godejohn's trial heard about the case. The remaining 9 jurors who served but did not raise their hands to indicate that they had formed an opinion regarding guilt or innocence, jurors 1, 6, 7, 12, 21, 24, 26, 37, and 36, were never questioned about their exposure and potential biases as a result of that exposure. Even a careful voir dire cannot ensure an impartial jury when the community is so thoroughly soaked with hostility and prejudicial publicity. First, potential jurors in such circumstances can become infused with biases they cannot recognize or will not disclose. And the psychological impact of requiring each potential juror to declare his fairness before fellows can engender bias, provoke false assurances, or result in sincere expressions of impartiality that are fleeting at best. The volume of prejudicial pretrial publicity in this case was overwhelming, and yet trial counsel failed to explore what prejudicial pretrial publicity jurors 1, 6, 7, 12, 21, 24, 26, 37, and 36 were exposed to, and how that exposure may have disqualified them as jurors. Yes, it would be considered a stacked jury. She got a sweetheart deal, and he got a stacked jury. Make that make sense. There's way more about all of the different things that aired beforehand and all of that. I'm going to get into that next time. I think I've I think, let's see, I've been on here for almost an hour. I'm really at my point right now where I just kind of, okay, guys, I'm going to open it up to conversation. So if you're over here on TikTok, if you can be respectful and good, the murder of Dee Dee Blanchard by her daughter, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and her online boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, and maybe others. All right, guys, if you want to hit the box, you can hit the box to come up and talk with me. If not, then we're good. If you guys don't want to, what are your thoughts? Drop it in the comments. Let me know, guys, because this was upsetting. This jury, this disregard for protecting their client is so polarizing. It smells of absolute corruption. Hi, Annalisa. Hey, Teresa. Hi, Annalisa.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Can I get your age just to make sure you're old enough to be on panel?
Yeah, of course. I'm 43.
Fabulous.
This is the first time I've gone up in the box.
Oh, wow. Well, you're a newbie. Thank you for busting your cherry on my live.
Oh, shit. I thought that Nicholas, I kept on hearing, that he was trying to get a new trial and that he had, this secret, but I don't know if do you know what I'm possibly talking about?
I do.
Probably just fake news.
No. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So he has one last appeal that's going before the federal level Supreme Court. That has been sent in. According to sources, his attorney also took letters and a motion and sent that to the governor for a pardon of sentence. Not that they would completely pardon the sentence, but that the governor could reduce the sentence himself or compel a judge to. So that's what they're going through right now. And yeah, Nicholas has always claimed that he had, something that he was taking to his grave, but his habeas corpus has been sent in. Yeah, that's it. The habeas corpus. That's what he's filing. So this was his post-conviction relief appeal in 2022 that was completely sealed. And we know why now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is fucking... You tell me what you think.
It's ridiculous. It makes me so mad.
It does. It's infuriating. And like I said, I don't care what you think about Nick or what he did or what his mental capacity is or any of those things. You can read this and know that, oh, thank you. You can read this and know that he didn't get a fair trial. And that's all that matters. His innocence or guilt doesn't matter. The fair trial is what matters. And the reason that the fair trial matters is because if he doesn't get a fair trial, anybody could not get a fair trial. And then we don't have fair justice.
Whichever, it's well, then shouldn't Jip be too as well?
Yeah, exactly. They released the monster, and they've kept the kid, that was manipulated by the monster locked up. And I do think, I'm not here for him getting out. I don't support all of that. What I do support is his ability to get help, that he in the future could be released back into society, because I don't see him as a danger unless another woman like this comes along and manipulates him again. That's why he needs constant supervision. He needs to be in a home where he is supervised at all times, have his job, all those little things, but he should never just be alone in society, because he does not have a support system. He doesn't have a father that believes in medication. I mean, it's all bad. Honestly, Nick's probably doing better in jail than he was ever doing outside of prison. It's sad. He has structure. He's got a dog. He gets 3 good meals a day. He's got probably some friends in there, whatever. He's got people that take care of him and watch over him. He's got people that write him and talk to him. He's probably got more now than what he ever had in the world. Hey, Kristen, welcome. Can you tell me how old you are real quick?
47.
Fabulous. Thank you. What's up? Did you have a question or discussion?
Yeah, I do. So you were
were just talking about the habeas corpus being turned in.
Yeah.
And I am not a legal person at all. I
Sure.
know nothing about the legal system. So, am I understanding correctly that his appeals for a new trial are what has been
Denied.
Denied?
Yes.
Okay, and so now then they can request for the reduction
A
of
sentence. Yes, it's basically exactly what's going on with the Menendez brothers. That's what they're basically filing. They're filing a motion to reduce the sentence to second degree, which is what prosecution offered him in the first place. And they're asking them to reduce it to, if they reduce it to second degree, then second degree automatically comes with the possibility of parole. And so they have to give him that ability. And, he'd have to pass evaluations and things like that to be released, but at least he would have some sort of, hope of a future. Oh my God. Thank you guys. These are so cute. Thank you so much. But I'm sorry, but I don't think there's hope for Nicholas at this time. What my goal is in all of this is that I feel like it's time for us to stand up and make sure this never happens again.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
I completely agree with you. I was just trying to figure out, honestly, if all they were trying to get before was a completely new trial.
Yes.
So that is what had been
Yes,
denied.
that's what had been denied over and over again. And I can understand because I'll be honest, another trial isn't going to do a damn thing. There is no venue now that they could ever move this to that would be impartial. None.
Right. And I don't know that the outcome would be any different. The sentencing I could see would be, but not the actual outcome.
Because what would happen? You'd have another trial with another biased jury with the same bullshit. So I don't understand, I don't know what would be the point of it. He's never going to get a fair trial in Missouri. It's not going to happen. It's evident. If this didn't do it, nothing was going to give him a fair trial.
No, I absolutely agree.
And this jury thing is just, the jury thing has me so angry. Like, this is the crux of this case, in my opinion. This is the absolute thing to stand on an ineffective assistance of counsel and he didn't get a fair trial, is this jury shit. Everything else could be just as easily get him a resentencing or a new trial, but the jurors is absolutely 100% cause for a mistrial.
I agree with you completely.
Hey, Brooke.
Thank you for letting me come up and ask you. I wasn't.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Brooke. Did you?
Come up as well.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming up and talking. Brooke, did you mean to hit the box, honey, or did you accidentally do it?
No, I did. I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay.
I'm 35.
Okay.
So I'm trying to make sure we're on the same page here.
Mm-hmm.
So, my boyfriend makes fun of me all the time because I am such like a freak when it comes to like Gypsy Rose's case.
Yeah.
I think that if Nick were to get like a retrial, I think Gypsy should have to go back and be retrialed.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's not how our justice system works.
I know, but it just, the thing that irks me the most is that he's still locked away and she's out building this family and like living the dream life.
Yep.
Meeting the Kardashians.
Millions of dollars. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Getting all this money, writing this poor neat book. And she's right. Yeah. Double jeopardy. I know that I wish our justice system was than that.
Everybody wants to talk about the dual sovereignty, which is absolutely 100% truthful. And the feds could rake her over the coals and have her for life, man, if they wanted to. But I don't think they're going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. I just don't.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
But I have to leave. I have an appointment.
No problem, Brooke.
I just wanted to say I just think that it's unfair because I think that with our justice system, Gypsy and Nick should have had
the same sentencing.
Well, what doesn't make sense to me is in that every other case of this, Manson, Pamela Smart, there's several others of a person convincing someone else to go do this, right? They always get the harsher sentence, and the ones that actually carried out the freaking deed get a lesser sentence. I don't know why it was reversed in this. The only thing I can explain it as is fucking corruption. There's no other anything. Oh, I have her plea bargain. It's 3 whole pages and it says nothing. Nothing.
Yep, I absolutely
Nothing.
agree. I don't think she should be out there living this beautiful, famous life, where
No.
she's hiding from paparazzi
No.
and Nick is rotting in jail when, like
Yep.
you said, he was manipulated.
Yeah. All right, Brooke. Well, thanks, sweetheart.
If I went and manipulated someone into doing the same thing, I would spend the rest of my life in
Prison. Yeah.
So it's just, our justice is.
The police did want to take a different approach to it, and Patterson stopped them. And here you have why. Because this was his plan.
So I'm gonna have.
All right. Asia.
Hi.
Hey, Brooke. No problem. Have a good one, okay? Come back anytime. Do you need me to drop you down, sweetheart? Oh, there, she got it. Hey, Asia.
Hi.
Haven't talked to you in a long time.
Oh, you remember me. Awesome. I was just going to say that, I have a cousin who's my age. I'm 25.
Yeah.
We grew up together like siblings. He is autistic.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since this whole case has happened, I have just been sick to my stomach.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Thinking about how a woman could totally meet my cousin and just use him, and nothing bad would happen. He is pretty vulnerable. He's kind of already been used. I mean, when we were 18, we both moved out around the same time, and he had an apartment that he let his friends all live in him with, and they trashed it. They put holes in the walls.
Yep.
I mean, he probably had about $7,000 in damages.
Jesus.
And he's autistic. He thought that was friendship. He thought that they were going to help him pay for it. He didn't know that they were just going to all vacate the next day.
Right.
They got that letter on the door. They were all gone.
Yeah.
He has already been used by girls, women. We're only, in high school we were just kids. But, I cannot imagine him I would be behind bars, honestly, at this point, because I could not imagine he's basically my brother being used like that.
This.
And then also people just looking past the woman that, if that's the case, she no one, I feel like I never see people talk about the fact that she only goes after mentally disabled people to do that, or
I do,
with some sort of learning disability besides your channel.
I talk about it all the time because I think it's very poignant. Because it's poignant. It's so poignant. Just remember, she called autistic people autistic little buttercups that didn't have real disabilities, that were whiners.
Right. And also, let's be real. I mean, I don't know the dude that she met at that convention or whatever, but I mean, I feel like if he was attracted to Gypsy Rose in that moment, he would have to have something's kind of wrong with him. And I'm like, okay, so that's her track record, but now that she's out of prison, she's dating someone or she married a man who is trusted enough to help people with learning disabilities. And, Ryan has the job that he does, and we all seen Ken. He's kind of a jackass, but he hasn't seemed put together.
He's a douche. Well. He's a douche.
He totally is, but he seems normal to an extent. It's like, what happened to you being with people who are that are mentally disabled? Like, what happened to that?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's not in your dating pool anymore.
Right. Hey, Sunny.
You don't need it. Dee Dee's gone. You don't need it anymore.
Exactly. Hey, Sunny, did you have a question?
Well, I'm gonna hop out. Actually,
No problem, Asia. That was a good point. But yeah, Ken is far from normal, like Nellie says. He's very far from normal. Trust me, I know a lot about that family too. And
Yep.
Anyway, all right, Asia, have a good night. Hey, Sunny, how are you?
I'm good. My son is autistic. He's high functioning autistic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have worried days on end about being mistreated, even by boys.
Mhm.
Like, hey, let's go out to the woods and then beat him up or whatever.
Right.
However, I did hear why did she get a different sentence and all this. I think it would be totally different if the abuse wasn't so poignant and in the media's face from her mother.
But there is an abuse from her mother.
Now, hang on. I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying everything they said was right. So that's not what I'm saying. A lot of people think it was abuse. It doesn't matter what it is or what it wasn't in people's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because so many people had opinion about, well, she was treated this way, or she was that, or she was told she was sick, or whatever, they're thinking that gave someone a right.
Yeah, that's the whole problem with all of this. Yeah, exactly. That is the whole problem with all of this.
That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying none of it was right. I seen her shaking her head. That ain't what I meant. What I'm trying to say is, if people truly believe that, that's what stops. That's
what I'm trying to. But that's what I'm actually. Right. That's what I'm trying to highlight here is that without the media participation in this from day one, there would not be this story. We would not have had this. The media and Christy Blanchard and Mike Stanfield are all responsible for what has happened. And Mike Stanfield should lose his license for what has happened. So should his defense attorneys. They are not capable. They're obviously not, they're not worthy of being members of the court.
It blows my mind that they did not put that in. That they didn't. I don't even know. I'm going to tell you right now, if it was me,
mm-hmm.
and that wouldn't have happened to me.
Well, and that's the thing of
as
like,
far as the jury goes.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, like, that's why I say about the Godejohn family has never done anything to help their son in the right way. They have not advocated. They have not tried to get ADA involved or ACLU or anything. They could have done so many things. They could have come out and talked about their story. They could have, and they chose to stay silent. And in this case, that was the wrong thing to do. And then when you did start speaking, you picked people who were so interested in the gypsy fucking narrative that they literally steamrolled you out of your own project about your own self. Like,
that's exactly what I was trying to say. They were too focused on what they thought that woman did.
Yeah.
Than actually understand that she was a human being that didn't deserve to be.
I just said it, Vanessa. They never did anything to advocate for him. Get a different freaking, an attorney that specializes in this. Push the attorneys to get a better freaking nothing. They never even spoke to his attorneys. Like, okay, I understand that the attorneys didn't reach out to you, but why didn't you, for your son, reach out to them? The Blanchards obviously did.
Either or, that them not reaching out is weird to me.
Oh, why do I think it's happening? I think it's happening because I think that they're not educated enough. They all have severe mental health issues. They're all on the spectrum as well. They have, conspiracy theory ideas of the government poisoning people and all of that. Okay. So I'm just saying, I don't think that they're capable. Stephanie was probably the only one who really could have. And the fact of the matter is that she was so heartbroken. She didn't. And it cost her life.
Last thing I'll say is, with my son having autism like he does.
Yeah.
I have fought for him through school,
through
work.
Yep.
I have showed up at his work even though he was grown, not on disability.
Yep.
And said, don't do that to my son. And they're like, well, he's over 18. Well, he's still my son. I don't care if he's 50.
Right.
Well, they're asked over my son. But I have a neighbor over here who got in some really bad trouble. And if you would just hear the story the way people told it, well, yeah, you would believe that he deserved it. Just like this boy here. A lot of people say it doesn't matter. he still did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, this boy over here got in trouble for showing his private to a little boy.
Mm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But then nobody was, and when he went and he got put in juvenile and all this stuff, was being hardly mistreated in juvenile. I asked his mom is the same age, she's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
I'm like, she said, well, he did show himself to the boy.
Yeah.
Well, the actual story was this boy is 18, has mindset of probably a 12-year-old, maybe younger, and the little boy was his cousin, and he went in there and he said, you know, I try to make this as easy. I heard your pinky is bigger than my pinky.
Right. Gotcha.
Well, it is because I'm 18.
Right. So yeah, it's a situation of not understanding what is or isn't appropriate. Right. And that's the thing with Nicholas. He is smart. He has complex thought. All of those things. But when it comes down to really understanding social norms and what is or isn't right, and he's got a very skewed view, you know. So, but thank you.
Someone finally probably loved him like he wanted to be loved.
Yep.
Paid attention like
Yep.
he wanted to be paid attention
Yeah.
to. And he thought he was saving her.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And to throw him like that, I don't understand it, you know.
Yeah, I'll get off of here, but
Okay.
thank you.
No problem, sweetheart. Yeah.
I'm sorry I confused y'all at first.
It's okay.
No,
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Because we're like, no. Like, so, alrighty, sweetie. Well, you have a good rest of your day, okay? Okay. Hey, America. How are you? Hey, Nadatha. How are you?
Hey. Hi. I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so explain this defense thing to me, right? Because when I listened to that clip yesterday of her saying that she testified in the defense of
Yes.
Nicholas.
Yep.
Make that make sense to me, because
It doesn't.
How did she get plea? Listen, when does the prosecution ever offer someone a plea deal and they are going to testify in the defense? That makes no sense.
Never. Not one time have I ever heard of some such thing happening. It doesn't make sense. And that's why everybody assumes that she testified against him when she didn't. But in all actuality, they should have treated her like a hostile witness, and they should have come at her harder than anything else. They should have hammered the hell at her, and they basically just let her walk right through it as a cakewalk. Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I planned it. Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, I think with her high-pitched voice, and I think the prosecutors just use it as an easy out.
Did you see her walk with the limp into the courtroom and then not walk with it on the way out?
Yeah, but I think that was just their easy way out of it was, well, here, we can portray this.
Yeah, Vanessa, I agree with you on that too.
She was,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
young and abused because her mom took her to so many different hospitals trying
to help her.
For help.
Right.
You know, that she needed. It wasn't abuse. It was her mom was trying to do the right thing.
Right.
I'm a parent. I have 3 children myself, and one of them, my middle son, is autistic as well. And just like the woman that was up here before said, I have advocated from him since he was 2.
Right. No, exactly. You have to. We're the only ones who can advocate for our children. Otherwise, they get lost in the system.
I also wondered, like, with the, I'm going to butcher their last name, with Nick's parents, like the Goda-Johns. Like, I know that they are on the spectrum as well. But do you also think that it could be somewhat that they're intimidated? Sorry, my dog's
Possibly. That's possible.
Like, intimidated by the public, because a lot of people still side with Gypsy, unfortunately.
I don't know. That's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That new evidence would come out and we could
do
another trial.
Well, it's all coming out, but there's not going to be another trial. That's the problem. I'm hoping he gets the post-conviction relief, but whatever. You know, I don't know. Hey, Nadatha, I got a big question for you because you like to talk about this a lot.
Okay.
Can you explain the mental health issue system, the if you don't qualify and this thing and there's levels and she didn't qualify. Can you explain all that, please, real quick? Because I don't understand what on earth this girl is talking about.
Right. Okay, so basically how it works is when you come into the Department of Corrections, you're obviously is her only time and first and only time. So she goes through receiving a diagnostics
test, right?
And upon all of that, you are given a psych evaluation.
Right.
Okay? The psych evaluation only determines if you are more prone to being a victim in the general population.
Sure.
Or if you are capable of basically defending yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, are you mentally competent and sound
that you're not going to be taken advantage of? Right.
Right.
Okay.
GP. And then do you hear voices? Is there something mental health wise that you are going to be required to participate in mental health?
Right.
Okay. So because she was mentally sound, you know, because narcissism and whatever is not, I don't know. Anyway, let me move on. But
I digress on that one.
Yeah. So because of that, she was not required, like made to, just like the rest of us. I was mentally sound. However, you are still allowed to participate in those things. So they have all kinds of classes. They have trauma classes.
Right.
They give you a counselor, therapist. It's the same thing.
Right.
You know, whatever. And so she never participated in any of that. She didn't attend mental health. She never went to mental health, ever. All you have to do is you get a piece of paper out of your notebook, write down on the piece of paper, I would like to be seen by mental health.
And mental health sees you. That's what I thought. She's talking about some system and she's a level 9 or a level 1 or I was like, I don't even understand what you're talking about.
It's all the same therapy. Like it's all like there's not some kind of special therapy for psychopaths.
I loved when you called and spoke to the actual prison.
Yeah.
That was so great.
Can't anybody qualify for that?
Yes.
I'm in prison as well. And I mean, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I don't know exactly how it works everywhere. But I'm pretty sure. Hi.
It's my weird ass husband.
Yeah, I have one of them too. It's okay. But yeah, like I know the prison I spent. I mean, now this was many years ago. I was 18 and I'm now 35.
Yeah.
Anybody could drop in for any type of reason, like any mental health reason. And then there was also classes, like you could,
right.
Like anything. Anybody was welcome to join them.
And how in the hell is she teaching a class on victimology or victim? What?
Yeah, a victim impact class is what it is, and it's what's really weird about that is you have to take full accountability for your crime in that class. Not saying that she did it in there, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there are different benefits to teaching those kinds of classes. So,
right.
Like, first of all, you get off the housing unit. Second of all, it's how people listen to you, or you know, they bring
right.
cookies every week, or
right.
outside. Like,
mm-hmm.
there are other reasons why. Here's the biggest one: time off your sentence.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
time that you don't have to be working doing something else.
Mm-hmm. How it's going to look to the parole board.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Again, this whole thing with advocacy, have you ever once heard her mention anything about ICDC or how it benefited her?
No.
And have you, or the
no, you can't. She has no talking points. Okay, that's what I don't understand. She has a PR team. What in the hell are they doing? What is Lifetime doing? Because they could have easily helped her become the advocate that she swears she wanted to be. And instead, they're just making this worse. It's just, I don't understand. Like, you have a PR team who isn't giving you talking points about prison reform if that's what you want your platform to be. It's not hard to do a Google search, bitch, and get a fucking 3 or 4 talking points. I mean, Jesus. Last time I know you had a phone with Google on it.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it.
I agree. And more so she crocheted, you know, and she did projects like that for
Well, I know she got fired from photography for being rude.
yeah, she was something else. But for I can't think of it. I just said it in my video the other day.
And I don't believe she has the patience for crochet.
I'm surprised she does.
She does. Restorative justice. It was restorative justice that she would do projects for. And the only reason I remember that 100% is because we got into it one time over the light in the room because I wanted to sleep and she wanted to crochet. And then we got into this argument about it. Like, she was super passive aggressive and always turned the light on. You know? Like,
Oh, but remember, Nadatha, you were never housed with her.
I know, ever.
Were you on the honor unit, did you end up with her when she ended up getting transferred back to GP?
It was 7 house. That's all I remember.
Okay, because I know she was on the honor floor for a while, and she got caught doing things that she wasn't supposed to be doing, so they kicked her off the honor floor. So,
I landed. Okay, so this is how this happened. When we all moved from Chillicothe, they did not know what they were doing. Which, regardless, they move us all the time anyway. You know.
Yeah.
So Vandalia. When we got moved from Vandalia, when they were shutting it down temporarily because they were going to be making it, and they have done that. You know, the mother's wing and the different things are being in there. It was during COVID, and they moved us all. It was a big mass moving, you know. And so I landed in that room first.
Right.
And I was only in there for about 2 months before they moved me over to 6 house. And I still don't know the reason why. You know.
Right. For sure.
I was supposed to be there. Well, I have no idea, but I know that I was moved to 6 house where I had nothing but 3 murderer roommates. You know.
Wow.
And I hated it so much because living with lifers is so hard because that's their home and we're just visiting.
Yeah.
And so
For sure.
You know, they have everything a very particular way.
Yeah. Because I mean that's where they're gonna stay forever, but you are only here for a certain amount of time.
Forever anyhow.
Right.
Yeah, like I had a funky named lady who like used to get super mad about my hair. You know, we called it white girl hair and hated on my hair all the time because it would fall on her bed. So I was
What about this bully that she talks about? This woman that bullied her in prison. She's a murderer. She murdered her husband. I can't remember what her name is, but she talked about her being her biggest bully, and that it was that she basically told her that, dude, you're freaking delusional, and this is not how the world works, ma'am. And she got really upset with her. Do you know who that was?
Wish I could think of who that was.
We had a whole conversation about it before, but yeah, she was a lifer. She's a really hardcore one, and I guess she just didn't fucking buy Gypsy's bullshit at all. Like, and that's the one that Gypsy's like, she was my first bully. Oh, really? Because I thought Aaliyah was your first bully. I thought I was your first bully. Is Nadatha your first bully? Is Nina your first bully? You have a lot of firsts. Like, oh, it's the first time I ate yogurt. Like, you didn't live in a fucking bubble. You weren't the fucking bubble boy that never left the fucking hospital. You had a real life, dude. You ate food. You went places. You were on boats and you had vacations. The fact that you want us to believe that this is the first time you've ever done anything at 33 years old is completely absurd.
No, I agree. I've never heard of SpongeBob or watched any of his shows, and it's like, well, if you were in the hospital for as long as you say you were, hospitals had TV.
Right.
You have to know who SpongeBob is. Like, I don't even watch the show.
The things that she says are just so weird. The things that she lies, the shoe size.
She's a manipulator. She's a master manipulator.
Well, you know what? I picked it up in her book and I wrote a chapter about it today. And this was one of the things that I highlighted. I highlighted the fact that here she is. She's talking about her mother's photography restoration business, right? That she had this little business and she would put pictures in people's heads and all that stuff, right? And everything. And that she could cut out letters and make documents. And that's how she made them, which is bullshit. That's not how, none of that works that way. But anyway, she's saying all that shit. And then she just all of a sudden just accuses her mother of being a master forger and that she must have been getting, social security cards and IDs, fake IDs for kids. Like, the jump there. Where does your head go? How? What?
Crazy.
Now you're just assuming your mom's some major forger, and now, and of course you're going to say that. So what's going to happen? Other people are going to go, "Oh my God, Judy was forging IDs." No, there's no proof of that. It's just some stupid shit she says in her fucking head. It's just, I've never seen anything like this. Naditha, you've been in prison. Like, have you seen anything like this?
I've seen all kinds of life in there. I know Pam Huff too. You know
Oh, I got to talk about that with you. We got to pick a brain one day.
I like her actually.
Do you really? Did you know Diane Stouty?
No.
No.
Nope.
I'm very interested in Diane's story and all the stuff that she says, because she's got some really wild things that she'll say. And if you don't know about Springfield and the things that I've uncovered, you would totally just be like, this woman's crazy. But the more and more I've listened to what the words she chooses for what went down with her husband and stuff. It's very weird. It's very strange. And it just,
Patty Pruitt got out though. Patty Pruitt got out though.
Oh yeah.
Super thrilled about that.
Pam Huff. Oh, guys, there's something. There's something about Pam. Go watch it. Whoo, she crazy.
I don't mean to interrupt, but
Yeah.
my children just got home from work, so I want to talk to them.
Okay.
But thanks for having me, and
Yeah.
I did follow you. This is my first live I've seen.
I'm so glad.
So yeah, but it was fun talking.
Okay.
So you guys enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you for joining and talking with us. You brought up good points. Springfield is dangerous, Lindsay. I agree with you.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Were you from Springfield or were you from another area, Nadetha?
No, I'm from Houston, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
I lived in Springfield when I was in recovery for like 2 years.
Okay.
But I'm only an hour and a half from Springfield. So
Okay.
I go to Springfield pretty frequently. Like it's one of our closest city. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Like the biggest city. Yeah. Like a big city. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I'm telling you, I don't know. There's something really strange about that whole town. There's just something very strange.
Yeah. It's a pretty crazy town for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. There's a lot of crime there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, I mean, I honestly believe that my judicial system here in Texas County is much more corrupt than Springfield. But
Oh, for sure. Texas don't play.
I also only live like probably 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there from the cannibalism guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name. James. There's a guy. One of them was James, and the other one was I don't remember, but they were Cassidy Rainwater.
I know that one. Yeah. I know a little bit about that one. Yeah.
That wasn't very far from me either.
Yeah. And I always think about the Springfield 3 too. Yeah. I have some information and connections on that really are fucking strange. So yeah, that case is very weird too. The Springfield 3. It's a really crazy case. Were you talking about Jeffrey Dahmer? Is that who you meant? Nadetha? No, not Dahmer.
No.
That's
it wasn't Dahmer.
Yeah, that's
I
what
can't
you're saying.
remember the guy's name that did it, but
Yeah.
there was this woman named Cassidy Rainwater, and she was in a cage on the dark.
Yes. Oh God. Yes. I remember now. Yes. Oh my
They did some
God.
very awful things to her. Awful things to her. And they so
Jesus.
crazy.
It's amazing what human beings will do to other human beings.
Yeah. No, I totally agree completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Well, what were you gonna say?
No, I don't remember now.
Okay.
I'm looking at the
Well,
list.
thank you for coming up. I think I'm going to hop off live now. I've gotten through as far as I'm going to get. Oh, James Phelps. Is that it? Morgan Alina said it's James Phelps. Is that who you're talking about?
Yep, that's him.
That's it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thanks for stopping by, Nadetha. I so appreciate it. You have such valuable information, and I always love listening to your videos. I always click right on them.
I can help and bring light to what advocacy he looks like.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what you do, your advocacy work is really important. So do you want to plug that a little bit since you're here? About what you do?
No, it's okay.
Yeah. I'm proud of you, and I think you've made an amazing change in your life, and I think that you are exactly what we need out here representing that. Because the Gypsy Roses of the world are not the real people.
No.
So she lives in a fantasy la la land that none of us live in. We're all just visiting, trying to find a way out. I feel like I'm in a corn maze that I'm never going to get out of.
I'll be happy when she gets off the internet. Like,
I really wish she just would. I just really wish she would. If you really want to live your life and have your baby and all that shit, then just please, just go do that. Please.
I'll make a video of her.
Right. So, alrighty, Nadatha. Thank you so much. Thanks, Alicia, for being here. Love you guys. Bye. Wow. Huh. I made $16 on a regular live. That's pretty damn good. Because I'm starting to get my audience back. They've all seen what really went down, and now they're just like, "Oh, fuck, you were wrong." Yeah, you were. You all were. Sit up on a panel and say, "I don't agree with what Fancy has done necessarily, but she's got good information." But you can't give one instance of what it is that you're upset about that I did. Yeah. No, I'm not going to let you sit there and fucking say that shit. Oh, I didn't like how you handled the Becca situation. Well, did you like how Becca handled the situation with me? No? Oh, you're okay with that. Because you're just as much of a bully as anyone else. This woman has another woman who she now alleges had a guy on a fucking, and this is a woman our age, had a guy that she met on fucking Tinder or whatever the fuck it is, and she was sending him videos of Arizona tea cans stuck up her hoo-ha. I don't know how everybody has this information about her. I don't know how anybody knows this, but that's what she started doing and putting out there. And she just has an entire channel just dedicated to putting out Arizona tea cans to make fun of Naomi. Of what happened?
No, the can blew off.
Yeah, no, we don't have that. No. We've just got her doing stupid shit with the fucking, I'm like, that's you. That's your mentality.
Yeah, I don't care.
That's your mentality. You had created an entire page to harass somebody that you don't know, all because you don't like what she has to say. And so you're going to make fun of her and say that she put tea cups up in her fucking hoo-ha. And yeah, make fun of her. Iced tea. Like, what is wrong with you people? And you all just justify it like it's some sort of okay thing to do. It's not. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't look like you're doing anything other than what we were doing 5 minutes ago when I was in here earlier.
Oh, I've made a lot of progress.
Oh, okay. I'm not quite sure you have, but all right. It looks like the same amount of cars on the bed that were on here last time.
Yeah, but look at the walls. They're all different.
Oh, so you arranged the walls differently? Interesting.
I've taken stuff down. I've put stuff up. These are the Hollywood cars. These are American cars. These are just Fords.
I get putting them on the wall, but why put the duplicates on the wall with the other one? Because it kind of messes up how the wall looks. Why wouldn't you just keep those?
No real duplicates. Well, that's a duplicate.
No, yeah, the ones that have two on the same
But
thing.
these aren't duplicates.
What are they?
These are just other cars in the line.
Oh, so you have
I'm
another.
trying to figure out
what to do. I get it. I understand. Okay, because that didn't make any sense. I'm like, why would you put both of them on the wall? Why
No,
wouldn't
I
you just
know.
keep one?
No, I know. But like these three cars are the same, and these two cars are the
Yeah, but
same.
those are different colors.
But they're
That's different.
similar.
Right. That's different. They're different. That's different colors, it's not the same car in my opinion.
Right, but those are different cars under those cars.
That's what I was asking.
Except for the white one,
Right.
where I'm trying to figure out how to fit a fourth one.
I don't think you need it for it. You've got 3 put the middle of the way. That's nice. All right, I love you. What do you want to do? Oh shit, I don't think I ended my live over here.